Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Orange County School Board's special meeting for Tuesday, November 15th, 2022. The items that are on our agenda today are from the November 10th, 2022 regular meeting that was canceled due to the tropical storm Nicole. No pre-agenda meeting or pre-agenda public input period were advertised or will be held because this is a special meeting. All of our board members are... No, they're not all attending in person. We have lost one board member, Member Lopez, because she is now Representative Lopez, and Member Felder. Is she going to be joining us by phone, or do we know? Okay, so we have all members, but Member Felder present at the time. I also want to remind the public that board members will not be engaging in outside electronic or digital communication during the meeting, so we can focus on the meeting itself and give our full attention to you and the items before us. To my fellow board members, district staff, and members of the public, when speaking, please make sure your microphone is turned on and speak directly into it so that our YouTube and Orange TV viewers can hear you correctly. Very soon, we will be welcoming two newly elected school board members. In accordance with Section 100.041, subparagraph 3 of Florida statutes states, the term of office of a school board member shall begin on the second Tuesday following the general election in which such member is elected. Later today, after our reorganization meeting, we will be having a ceremonial swearing in for our new members who will officially take office on Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022. After that date, they will be joining us here on the dais. For everyone that's here this evening, thank you again for participating. And now we will begin the meeting with a moment of silence, and I invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And now for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hold with me just a minute, if you would. So now, for the sad part of our meeting, we will be saying goodbye to two excellent, hardworking board members that I know I've been proud to serve with, and I know the rest of the board has been proud to serve with. And I'm blessed to call them friends. Members Linda Cobert and Joanna Lopez. Unfortunately, now Representative Lopez is unable to join us today. So let's talk about Member Cobert. Anyone who knows Member Cobert knows how dedicated she is, not only to her family, but to her family here at Orange County Public Schools. Member Cobert has been representing District 3 for 8 years. And sometimes, I'm sure it's seemed like 28 years. But even before that, she was involved as a Blankner parent, a parent advocate. She was also the co-founder of Fund Education Now, which led a push for increased funding, something she's never stopped pushing for. I will miss her passion, her positive attitude, and her constant search for common ground. During the years on the board, Member Cobert helped make sure that elementary school students were granted recess time. That may not seem important to you, unless, of course, you're an elementary school student, or a parent of an elementary school student, or Angie Gallo, who has also pushed for this so hard. She presided over an expansion in a number of K-8 schools. During her time on the board, Member Cobert was instrumental in closing the technology gap by providing all students with digital devices. Admittedly, COVID did expedite that mission just a little. During that same time, OCPS greatly increased graduation rates. Member Colbert made it possible for students from 3 schools to interview a Supreme Court justice, Justice Sonia Sotomayor. How cool. I didn't know that. Wow. And what a wonderful woman she is. In addition to her contributions to OCPS, if Linda wasn't busy enough, she had a statewide influence on schools across the state as an FSBA certified board member. Member Colbert served not only as a board member, but on the Advocacy Committee, the Ad Hoc Committee, the Long Range Planning Committee, the Policy Committee, and as Vice Chair of FSBA Legislative Committee. Other committees outside of that she has served on is interim chair of the Central Florida Public School Boards Coalition, Equality Florida's Advisory Board, Orlando Science Center, and the Citizens Commission for Children. As you can see, Member Colbert has established numerous relationships in the community and many, many more relationships with the administration, with teachers, and with students in her district. So as a token of our appreciation and as a reminder of the profound impact you have had on, I estimate, well over 250,000 students in the 8 years that you have been here, and the untold number of students whose lives will be changed for the better forever, whose futures are brighter today than they were 8 years ago when you started. We would like to present you with not a plaque, a crystal vase, to remind you always of the impact that you have made. Now, where is the crystal vase?
I see a box over there.
All right, let's walk over to the podium. You want to see your crystal vase? And then you know what comes next, right?
I have to speak.
You have to
Then
speak.
I have to get my, you have to get my notes,
Okay, can we bring some notes over here?
because I wouldn't be able to get through it.
Me either.
That is beautiful. Oh, my gosh.
Presented with deep appreciation to Linda Colbert for dedicated service on the School Board of Orange County from 2014 to 2022. Isn't that beautiful?
It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
I'm thinking about retiring now. Now,
Okay.
your turn.
All right, I did write it down because I know I wouldn't be able to get through it otherwise. My journey to today didn't start just 8 years ago. It started over 20 years ago. But 8 years ago, on the day that I walked into my office upstairs, one thing was left behind, and it was the groundbreaking shovel for Blankner School. And it had a little plaque on it that said Blankner K-8 2001. Because that was the first project that I ever advocated for in Orange County Public Schools. And a couple of weeks ago, fast forward to current time, I did my last dedication at Stonewick Elementary School. It was Dr. Vasquez's first, and it was my last. And Chair and Maria and I cried through the whole thing. And during that dedication at Stonewick School, I explained to the children what a dedication means, that it is a blessing of a new building, but it is also devoting a lot of time and energy to something that is important. What I'm going to miss the most is the dedication of all of the people who work at OCPS, who have one agenda, and that is to serve the children and the families of our community. The custodians who are dedicated to make sure that that school looks beautiful every day when the children walk in. The bus drivers who are dedicated to making sure our children get to school safely every single day. The teachers whom we know are dedicated to our children and their future and their success. The principals who do not have a schedule or a calendar and work countless hours and days outside of what's expected, and most people don't even realize. The dedication of our area superintendents, our cabinet, and our superintendent, who also have no calendar and no time clock as they work what is needed because they're dedicated to the students of Orange County. And the two boards that I had the privilege and honor of serving with, that we all worked shoulder to shoulder because we are dedicated to the children that we serve. So I'd like to thank the people of Orange County, the community that is OCPS, my husband, and my family for allowing me the privilege to serve and the honor to devote my time and energy to something that is important. Thank you.
All right, the vice chair will take it from here.
I'm next.
All right, give me just a minute.
Well, we have comments. Yeah.
Oh, please, good.
It gives the chair a minute to compose after that. Linda, you have been a comrade in education and in love and doing everything with grace. Your stature and power and clarity have helped guide us through many, many difficult decisions. You're great at bringing the plane in for a landing. I don't know what we're going to do without that. And it has been a pure pleasure to serve with you, but it's been inspiring to see your connection with the community and your steadfast clarity on behalf of children. I will miss you greatly and deeply, and I admire and love you. And I really wish you weren't leaving. But I wish you well, and it is time. Every path in our life has a season, and you've made the decision that you're on to another season. And I know wherever you go and whatever you will do, you'll have the same impact and passion that you have served here these last 8 years. So thank you.
Member Gold, thank you. Member Byrd, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Several years ago, when I had made the decision to run for the school board, I don't even know if I filed yet, but I was at an event and I was there with Linda, and I did not know Linda at the time, but I went up to her and I spoke to her as we were walking out, and I told her that I, had a lot of respect as I'd watched her on the board, and I would love to sit down and meet with her. And she, of course, was so gracious and met with me. We had lunch, and as she's done with several other people along the way over the years, I think, that consider running for school board, she, is very honest about the job and how hard the job is, but she's so caring and compassionate and just so open to supporting other people that she gave me that confidence, that final boost of what I needed to be able to run for the school board. So along the way, whenever I had questions, I would go to her and ask her, and she was always just so supportive and such a mentor to me that I don't know that I could have done this job the past 4 years without you. I don't think you will ever know what an impact you have on the people around you, but she is, no one loves children more, I always say, than Member Colbert. She is such an advocate for children and just wants the best education for them, and that's so apparent in everything she does, and she's so modest along the way, never boastful about all the things she does and she fights for. And I hope you know that your impact is not, I wanted you to know that your impact is not just with the students that you've enriched the lives of all these years serving on this board, but it's also with all the people that have had the opportunity and have been lucky enough to work with you. Wish you the best.
You're going to take over for bringing us into our landing.
Member Gallo, follow that.
Sorry. Thanks. Thanks, Madam Chair. Thanks,
well
Vice
said.
Chair.
I know. I took
I-
it backwards.
I met Linda, I think 2007, 2008. It was when we were told that there was this funding cliff happening, and we were projecting in Orange County Public Schools that we would lose around $200 million, and sports was going to be a thing of the past. It was really dire. It was really scary. And that was about the time that she formed Fun Education Now. And my first interaction with Linda was with Linda, Christine, and Kathleen. And they would go around to schools on their own time to present to PTAs on the importance of advocating and going up to Tallahassee and making sure that our voice was heard. And because of that, we never saw that funding cliff that we thought was coming. And Linda continued year after year to advocate on all of our behalfs. And there's two or three people that I attribute all of my advocacy work, all my time I spent in Tallahassee. And one of them is Don Stewart. I tell this story all the time. But the other one was Linda. Linda and her group inspired me to want to be involved, to be more involved, to go up to Tallahassee. I was just, I think, the SAC chair back then for Eastlake Elementary. But just the confidence. And I just remember watching the committee hearings in Tallahassee, and I'd see Linda go up and speak, and I'm like, oh my God, I know her. And she was always, it was like, oh, I know her. She's on TV. But she always spoke with such elegance and such grace. And many times, as Christine and I got closer, and we were working on things together, I was the legislative chair for PTA. We would watch board meetings, and I don't know if Christine ever told you this, but I would call Christine and something would happen on the board meeting, and I'm like, everybody needs to be more like Linda. Be a Linda. In the sea of everybody, be a Linda. And Christine and I still joke about that, because I'll talk to her about a board meeting. I'm like, I wish I was sounding more like Linda. I wish I was more of a Linda, because we've had some rough times over the last 3 years. And every time you get the mic, you do handle it with grace, with dignity, and most importantly, with kindness. You're just a kind individual. And I know you're going to do great things. You're going to go on. You're going to be fabulous. We will miss you. We will miss your calming presence, because some of us are a little hyperactive up here on this board. And we know that we can look to you, and you're that voice of calm. Or after you speak, sometimes I've clicked my button. I'm like, she said that very well. I'm just going to sit here and be quiet. So you will be missed. But I just want you to know, out of everything, all the accolades that we've given you today, the one that I hold most dear is your friendship and your kindness and all that you do for children, for staff, for everybody out there. I know you're going to go on to great things, and it's truly going to be our loss up here on the board, but I know we'll stay in touch. So best of luck to you.
Thank you, Member Gallo. Member Castor-Dental.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a similar experience to Angie with your Fund Education Now work. That's when I met you too, and you were so energetic. And you took that fight to Tallahassee, which takes a lot of energy. And you've always been a fighter for the kids and for public schools. And you've had victories. And I appreciate that. And then on the board, you have set an example for us with your thoughtful, measured, calm approach that people have mentioned. And the word grace keeps coming up. You really show grace under fire. And like Angie, I would also unpush my button to talk after you've said what you need. I'm like, she wrapped it up. That's great. So you will be missed. You've always been available to the board members, whether we're new or not so new. And I don't think you realize how treasured you are. And you will be missed. But now we can go out to dinner and talk about all sorts of topics without worrying about violating sunshine. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Member Castor-Dental. Member Felder. Yeah, I do. I don't know how I got ahead of it. Yeah, Member.
Yes. Well, thank you, Chair. Linda, being the newest member on the board, it was a serious learning curve. And I really appreciate Barbara Jenkins. We had long meetings, and poor Maria, I would just insist that I meet with her for lunch so I could just understand some things. And I remember even seeing you sometimes in the parking lot. I had an issue, and I was getting upset. And your calming spirit. The Bible talks about putting families in solitary. You may not be related to people, may not even know them, but God has a way of putting people together with qualities, and a person that can almost like your opposite, but can calm you. You had such a calming way, and I never felt bad about coming to your office, talking about any and everything, and being so bold when you were going on vacation, telling you, I need you to bring me this back. But I'm really going to miss you, even though I admire the courage you took to make the decision to be with your spouse. That's so very important. That speaks volumes. But I was sort of selfish. I just wanted you not to go, but I did understand. And Linda, I want to thank you for the listening ear and the calming factor that exuded from your conversation, because I was sometimes so angry. And you would tell me how to do it and how to express this way. So, and then I remember landing the plane to Pam. You always knew how to land the plane. God, I hope we can land the plane this time around. So thank you for your service. Thank you for your friendship. And I'm glad I'm like, Karen, we're going to have lunch, because it's not against the Sunshine Law. So we can talk. But thank you so much for all that you brought to this board and all that you brought to me as a board member. And you are my friend. Thank you so much.
Superintendent Vasquez.
So much of what has been said has been repeated. And what sticks out the most to me is that you have been a true example of what it means to lead with grace and compassion. Thank you for all you have done for not only the students of Orange County Public Schools, but all of us from the OCPS family. We thank you, and we will miss you.
Thank you. Well, as I mentioned earlier, Member Lopez can't be with us today. As I understand, she's on a plane on her way to D.C., but I did want to take a minute out to recognize Member Lopez, and then we'll provide her with a crystal vase at a later time. School Board Member Lopez was the 2017 OCPS Teacher of the Year and a nationally recognized life changer. She took her exemplary classroom skills and shared herself with our community for these past 4 years. She was our first Latina school board member and helped us hire our first Hispanic superintendent. Having her perspective on our board as both a teacher and a leader in the Hispanic community was invaluable. She extended our outreach into the community in new ways and helped celebrate both Black History Month and Hispanic History Month. And if there's anybody in the audience who missed this year's Hispanic History Month celebration, see if you can find it online, because it was absolutely incredible. And hopefully we will always do it that way in the future. Now, Member Lopez is taking on all that she learned as a teacher and a board member to the State House of Representatives. We all loved working with her and are thrilled to see her achieve her dreams, and we look forward to seeing what this next chapter means to her and means to all of us, because we know that Member Lopez will never forget that the children come first. And now we have a number of proclamations. Of course, I'm sorry, Member Gould.
I hope Johanna watches this. I want to send a message of gratitude to Johanna. She not only looked at things the last several years from the children's perspective, but came at it with a teacher's lens and was really able to be very insightful on what the impact of some of our policies would be. And that was incredibly helpful. I'd also like to say Daryl Flynn has a Hispanic background. And so while Johanna clearly was very ingrained in the leadership of the Hispanic community, Daryl also represented that group well. But Johanna, I am so proud to have served with you. I am thrilled that you are carrying the torch for this segment of our state, and anything that we can do to be a resource, we are happy to provide. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Gould. Member Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as Member Gould said, hopefully Member Lopez is listening, or she'll circle back on YouTube. But I just want to tell Johanna how much I've enjoyed working with her. She's been my seatmate for 4 years. We've had a lot of fun together. We've had a lot of discussions together. We've had a lot, me hitting her mic a lot. me, especially the first year, I'm like, Johanna, your mic's not on. I would reach over and I would turn her mic on. But I just wanted to say, I want to thank her for her service. I'm looking forward to working with her up in Tallahassee. I know that she's going to do great things up in Tallahassee, and I have no doubt that she will represent Orange County and Orange County Public Schools and continue to do what is in the best interest of her constituents up there, like she did here on our board. And I'm going to miss her. I'm going to miss sitting beside her, and I'm going to miss just spending time with her up the dais. So I wish her well.
Thank you, Member Gallo. Member Colbert.
Thank you, Chair. I, too, am very proud to call Johanna my friend. I was so proud of her when she won Teacher of the Year. She represented us so well as she traveled across the state, and we couldn't be more proud of her. And then when she ran for school board, I was just cheering her on. One of the things I admire about Johanna, she is our Hispanic representative on the board, but she's always been so clear about the fact that she represents everyone. All of her constituents, and all of the children and families in Orange County, and I couldn't be more proud of her for that. She has shown tremendous leadership skills, and I know that she'll go on to do great things. And now I can say I have a friend in the legislature, and she'll be a resource, a champion for children, and for all of us as well. So I wish you Godspeed, Johanna, and I'll still see you because you are my friend.
Thank you, Member Colbert. Member Felder.
Thank you, Johanna. Yes, my partner in crime. I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss your laughter and just so many things. And I'll always remember the time we were in Tampa and you didn't understand the, what is that thing on the car? The, no, you know when you're trying to go somewhere, the MapQuest? The GPS. It was in Spanish. And she said to me, Vicky, I don't understand. I said, I know you don't think I understand. I don't speak Spanish. Oh, my God. But we were lost, but we found our way. I'm going to miss those fun times. Neither one of us knew what we were doing. I don't know how we got what we got, but we got there. But, Johanna, I'm going to miss you. And I have no doubt in my mind, because I watch you on this board be an advocate for teachers, for children, for parents. I know you taking fire to the state legislature. You're going to do that because we need some fire there. And I appreciate your work. I'm praying for you, and we are going to miss you dearly. But I believe that this is just the beginning of your political career. So I'm going to miss you, and I wish you well. And take the fire, baby. Take the fire there. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Felder. Member Castro-Dental.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I met Johanna when we were both in the Leadership Orange class together when she was serving as Teacher of the Year. And even then, she provided a lot of perspective to the people who were there from the teacher's perspective. And I was also really proud of her when she ran for the school board, because I always think, that someone who's a parent and a teacher, and they bring different perspectives. And at the time, I thought we really needed that. And she did such a great job. And when she goes to Tallahassee, she's going to be such a legitimate voice for public education and students. I remember my time there when I was in Tallahassee as a teacher. And I was able to correct so many people on things that they may say, and I was able to say, that's not actually how it happens. That's not actually what happens in classrooms. So I trust that Johanna is also going to be able to, speak truth, and I've seen her do it here on the board, and I know she will be a force in Tallahassee, and I'm proud that she's there. And she will be missed here, but again, we can go out to lunch.
Yes, we can.
We'll miss you, Johanna.
Thank you. And to close us out, Superintendent Vasquez.
And actually, she's trying to call in, so we have actually given her the phone number, and she should be joining us shortly. I do want to say thank you to Board Member Lopez. She has been an incredible role model. Her strength and her courage and her advocacy is one to be admired, and how she has represented not only Orange County, but how she has advocated for the communities within OCPS. And so I am very grateful, and I will miss you dearly, but I know that we will have you fighting for us in Tallahassee.
Okay, we will move on with proclamations until I get the word that we have Representative Lopez on the line. She is? Okay, we'll start with the proclamations. We are proclaiming November 14th through the 20th as National Apprenticeship Week in Orange County Public Schools. We are also proclaiming November 14th through the 18th as National Philanthropy Week in Orange County Public Schools. We are proclaiming November 16th as National Education Support Professionals Day in Orange County Public Schools. And I would ask Mr. Pollard if you would read the proclamation for the board. I can't read it.
All righty then. Ron Pollard, 1869 Emerald Cove Boulevard, Poplar, Florida. Before I go any further, though, I got to say something to Ms. Colbert. Just to piggyback on some things they said, I remember when I came in about 8 years ago, representing the workers of Orange County Public Schools and the union, OSPA. I was early for a school board meeting, and Ms. Colbert stopped me outside. We sat down, and we had a conversation. I won't share the conversation, but we had a conversation. But what she made me understand was, because it was a contentious time between the union and the school board, and at the time, she made me understand that she was a parent, an advocate, and that we really were on the same side. We didn't talk about the union. She asked me, what did I think about students and education? But from our conversation, she called over, I think it was Nancy Robertson. She's like, come over here, have you met Ron? And we sat down, and I think Ms. Flynn, and then I think it was Christine Moore, but we all sat down there together and just had a conversation. It changed the way I saw the school board right then. On that day, I changed the way I dealt with the school board as a union. It wasn't a fight, because our fight was bigger than this little scuffle we were doing with each other. So that being said, gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you. And if Ms. Lopez is listening, my fellow advocate, she and I have stood together in Tallahassee, advocating for public schools. I know I'm the union president for OSPA, but I consider myself as an advocate for public education more than anything. So with that being said, I don't want to get emotional. Don't you make me cry, lady. To Chair Jacobs, all the board members, all of you all, and Superintendent Vasquez, I am honored, and at the same time, I'm humbled to stand here and represent such an awesome support staff here in OCPS. They give their all every day to ensure the safety and the success of our students, all of our students. And it's so important for us to know that we are appreciated. Their efforts are appreciated every day, even though National ESP Day is celebrated tomorrow on the 16th, that they are appreciated every day for the efforts. I've said it before, I'm a grandfather of several kids in Orange County Public School. So I fight for them all day long. But the fight is for them to get self-respect, for them to know that they are needed, wanted, as well as the instruction of staff. So thank you for that. With that, with no further ado, I'm going to read this proclamation that was given by Orange County Public Schools proclamation. National Education Support Professionals Day, November 16, 2022. Whereas public schools are the backbone of our democracy, providing young people with the tools they need to maintain our nation's precious values of freedom, civility, and equality for all. And whereas Orange County Public Schools is home to more than 7,300 education support professionals who serve more than 208,000 students across 205 school sites. Wow. And whereas education support professionals are integral to the education process. And whereas education support professionals contribute to a safe and healthy learning environment for students. And whereas education support professionals work tirelessly to serve our students and communities with care and professionalism. Now therefore be it resolved, the School Board of Orange County, Florida does hereby proclaim November 16, 2022 as National Education Support Professionals Day in Orange County Public Schools. And it is signed by Teresa Jacobs, Chair, School Board of Orange County, and Maria Vasquez, Superintendent of Orange County Public Schools. Hats off to you all. I thank
you, sir. Can I ask you to do me just a favor?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you stand there for just a minute longer? I have Member Lopez on the line, and I want to hear from her.
Sure.
And then we have a couple of school board members that want to talk to you,
Thank
okay? Do we still have Member Lopez? Let's hear from Member Lopez. Member Lopez, Mr. Pollard was just singing your praise.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. I hear my voice up too. I have like a feedback. I'm in an airport. I don't know if this is gonna work. Can you hear me right?
We can hear you very clearly.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ron, for your words. Good afternoon, everyone. Buenas tardes. Congratulations to every person who engaged in mobilizing the voters in our community. It has been a quiet campaign season before I continue. I want to apologize for not being there to postponing the date of this event did not allow me to make changes in my schedule. I am currently in Washington, D.C., advocating for our immigrant families who work hard in the field to keep food in our stores and kitchen tables. Today is a great day, not only for our students, but also for our staff. Today, you're witnessing a historical moment again by having the first Colombian American and openly gay school board member in OCPS. Maria Salamanca, I am so proud of you, and I can't wait to see what you do for the students, teachers, and parents of our district. Congratulations to Ms. Ferrand as well. My trajectory as a school board is something I will never forget. I became a school board member because a group of OCPS students ran a bilingual campaign that allowed us to connect with our community. Thank you for believing in my students and for allowing me to represent your voice. I am so honored to say that I served the OCPS school board with knowledgeable, professional, and powerful women. Thank you to Chair Teresa Jacobs, Board Member Gallo, Board Member Covert, Board Member Cole, Board Member Felder, and Board Member Castor-Bento, and also the great Kat Gordon. We were not in agreement all the time, but we listened to each other and respected the conversations. It was an honor to work with Dr. Jenkins and Dr. Vasquez, two women that I admire and respect deeply. To every leader and staff member, thank you for your patience and professionalism. Without your presentations and training, it would be impossible to understand and provide assertive recommendations or solutions to address our challenges. To Mr. Pagnarini and Ms. Embach, thank you for helping us to stay out of trouble. I will never forget the fight about mask mandates after the executive order from the governor. Today I want to let you know that I am leading the board with the confidence that you will continue to fight for every student, especially those most vulnerable, like our LGBTQ community, ESC, ESOL, and homeless students. That you will continue to fight for instructional and classified employee salaries, transparent selection for minority local contractors, for the reductions of tests, improvement of safety in our schools, and expansion of mental health services. You can count on my unconditional support in Tallahassee. Unidos somos más fuertes. United, we're more stronger. I love you. Los quiero. I am not going anywhere. I am still available and present to continue working together for stronger public schools. Gracias, thank you, and I'll see you soon.
Representative Lopez, thank you so much for calling in and sharing those inspiring words for all of us. I know the feeling is mutual. Each and every one of us have enjoyed and cherished the time we had to spend with you, and we know we can count on you 100%, and that gives us great consolation. In spite of the fact that you won't be sitting here with us, we know you'll be sitting someplace else fighting for us. So God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Member Colbert, I think you had some words for Mr. Pollard.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for sharing that wonderful story.
Thank you for your kind words, Mr. Pollard. And I remember that conversation. And it was a light bulb moment that we were two people, human beings, sitting down to have a conversation and realizing that we are indeed on the same side. And we've all been able to work together ever since. And this proclamation is important because it recognizes, and we recognize, that we can't teach the children if they're not driven to school safely. We can't teach the children if they don't have a good meal inside their bellies. We can't teach the children without the support of our paras who take up that slack and support everything else that we do. We can't teach the children without the support professionals that help make it possible. And I want you and all of them to understand that we recognize that and we honor them every day. And I want to thank you for your steadfast, kind, intelligent leadership.
Thank you.
And Vice Chair.
Ditto. I actually was going to share a little story. So last week or the week before, I chaperoned a field trip for my daughter who's in high school. Her chorus, a group of her chorus kids were going to listen to the Bach choir rehearsal at the Dr. Phillips Center. So I was like, sure, I would love to hear the Bach choir. So, you know, it was at night, it was an evening show, and we had a bus driver who was just amazing. He was fantastic. Okay, so he, first of all, he was really fun. He, as soon as we got on the bus, he said something to the effect of, you know, I hope everyone's ready for a fun night tonight, and welcome aboard. And, you know, he was like really entertaining. And then he proceeded to encourage the kids to sing, which, you know, you don't have to do with a group of chorus kids. And it was really loud, and, you know, but they were having the best time. And he was telling us a story. He was telling us how we were like, oh, it's really loud. And he's like, I love it. And he said, I've got this one student that I drive every morning, and she's an ESC student, and she sings The Wheels on the Bus every morning, the whole way to school. And he said, it's the sweetest sound to start my day with. And he was just, he had to wait extra. Our thing went late. It was like 9:30, and we're downtown. We had to drive all the way back to Apopka. Still, the sweetest, most cheerful man, made that whole trip so much fun for the kids. Just the bus ride was fun for the kids. And I was thinking, afterwards, that he's not a singular case. I talk to bus drivers all the time that feel like those kids are their babies, and they treasure their job, and they're so passionate about it. And the same thing goes for the paras and the our food service workers, and they care so passionately. And as Member Colbert said, we wouldn't be able to do what we do every day, educating these kids, without all those pieces that we need to make it work. And I hope that our support professionals know that we value them so much, and I hope that you will share this proclamation with them and let them know that we value them and we treasure them. Thank you. And you, of course.
Thank you.
Member Felder.
Yes, thank you so much. I remember the first time in meeting you, the calmness of your demeanor, and how you always was very inclusive in inviting me to come to some of the activities of OASPA. And when I first went, it took me a long time to find the building because I was looking past it. And even when I got there, everything was over. You all still entertained me and asked me if I wanted to eat or whatever. But I appreciate your attitude, the fact that you say you had the conversation with Board Member Colbert, and that we really want the same things. The district the board is not the district's enemy. We want the same things. So I appreciate, because the camaraderie that you showed me and I experienced was very, very different than what I expected, because when people hear unions, they automatically think there's going to be conflict, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. So I thank you for your demeanor and the way you are leading OASPA, and that wonderful bridge that you maintain between OASPA and the board. That's so appreciated. I thank you for your service. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Felder. Member Gould.
Mr. Pollard, you are always a voice of reason and a voice of truth that we deeply appreciate as we move forward through always tumultuous waters. I mean, every year we think it's going to get better, and there's always some other challenge that comes up. It's not always the same challenge, but there's a new challenge that we're faced with, or a new obstacle, or inflation, or, the list goes on. But your leadership, your always open approach to each of the board members, and your steady, and fastidious leadership of our support folks who really make our operation run is just deeply appreciated. So thank you to you, and thank you to the team that you represent that makes our schools open, close, and clean.
Thank you.
Mr. Pollard.
Thank you.
I think board members have made it clear how much we value and cherish the support professionals that we have working here, and how indispensable they are to the education of our students. I just want to echo some of the comments about the role that you've played, because it is most common to have management, the board, unions fighting against each other. And I know why we don't need to, because we are on the same side. Mm-hmm. But you recognized that early on, and I'm happy to hear about this initial conversation. And I think your leadership is absolutely crucial to our continued success. If we whether it's our teachers, our bus drivers, if we all feel like we're fighting each other, there's no time left, there's no energy left to pour into our kids. When we're all fighting together, fighting for more money from the legislature, it's a hard fight, but we have a shot at winning if we come together. And we know one thing we're not wasting our time on is fighting each other and taking that time away from our precious children. The comments about the bus drivers, I've heard the same comments from our food service personnel, you know, about fixing a little meal and sending it home with Johnny because there's nothing at home for his little sister to eat. I hear the stories all the time, the stories of heart and soul and caring. And in addition to the service they provide, the heart they provide, and the heart you provide is even more important. So thank you. We're so glad you're here today. We're glad we have this proclamation so we have a chance to celebrate you and your team.
And again, I thank you all. And remember, I'm just the face. All of them are just like me. They care. So with that,
Yeah.
I have a go.
Thank you. What a great face. Okay, we have one more proclamation, and that is a proclamation that I am going to ask Member Kester Dennell to share with the board and the public.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This proclamation is for American Education Week, and it proclaims the value and importance of public education. And I thought it was important to have it read out loud. American Education Week, November 14th through 18th, 2022. Whereas November 14th through 18th, 2022 is designated as American Education Week and gives us an opportunity to celebrate the public schools in Orange County and recognize the hardworking education professionals who make a difference every day to ensure that all children receive a quality education. And whereas, since American Education Week was first observed in 1921, schools and communities across the United States come together to bring special attention to the importance of having great public schools, which are considered a pillar of our democracy and a cornerstone of American opportunity. And whereas public education shoulders the responsibility of providing students with avenues to explore, discover, and gain the knowledge and skills necessary to be productive and successful in life and advance our nation's precious values of freedom, civility, and equality. And whereas we are exceptionally proud of our public schools in Orange County, which provide opportunities for students to excel in academics, athletics, fine arts, career training, and extracurricular activities, and serve as an integral part of our thriving community, now therefore be it resolved, the School Board of Orange County, Florida does hereby proclaim November 14th through 18th, 2022 as American Education Week in Orange County Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Kester Dennell. All right, moving on to well, no, not exactly. Superintendent, do you have any newly appointed administrators to introduce?
Yes, I do, Madam. Would you
Thank
like me to
you.
do them before the
Please.
strategic plan?
Yes, please.
Okay. So we have several new assistant principals. We have Jeremiah Carter, who will be the new assistant principal at Positive Pathways. Courtney Frederick, the new assistant principal at Roberto Clemente Middle School. Carla Kelly, the new assistant principal at Bay Lakes Bay Lakes Elementary. Lee Newen, the new assistant principal at Dr. Phillips High School. Donnell Morrell, assistant principal at Wekiva High School. Kristen Rovadio, new assistant principal at Colonial High School. Sandra Santil, the new assistant principal at Shingle Creek Elementary. Natalie Shepard, new assistant principal at Deerwood Elementary. Amy Smith, the new assistant principal in alternative education. Justin Yount, the new assistant principal at Apopka Middle School.
Thank you, and congratulations to all of them. And now, Superintendent Vasquez, for the strategic plan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Kathy Schuler, our Chief Academic Officer, and her team will be providing the board an update related to ESSER dollars that were received in order to address the impacts of COVID-19. Dr. Schuler?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Jacobs, board members, and Superintendent Vasquez. We're here today to give you an update on the elementary and secondary school emergency relief funds provided to effectively address significant learning loss and mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on K-12 schools. When it's all said and done, the district will receive $850,124,643. The funds received from ESSER 1, known as the CARES Act, are fully expended at $55,453,118. ESSER 2 was received for $244,651,865. And ESSER 3 will be expended at $550,019,660. Mrs. Gilbert, Senior Director of Federal Programs, will provide an accounting of how funds were utilized to support our strategic plan. Mrs. Gilbert?
Thank you. If we look at our expenditures and tie them to our strategic plan, we see that funds were utilized for dedicated high-quality teams, efficient operations, safe working environments, and high expectations for student learning, which was our priority from the onset of the pandemic. This included 100% of our funding. I'm going to provide a few examples of each grant and as they align to the strategic plan. For ESSER 1, high expectations for student learning, we utilize funds for dual enrollment, intervention materials in reading and math, virtual tutoring, and ESE supports. Dedicated and high-quality team, staff retention, substitute teachers who were out with COVID, emergency FMLA, sick leave. Positive climate and safe environment, custodial, contracted labor and supplies, PPE, nurses, HVAC filters, and water bottle filling stations. Efficient operations, student devices as we pivoted towards distance learning. Student social emotional well-being, and engaged and invested community. ESSER 2 funds expended year to date are $235,190,778, which is 96% of our allocation. Funding is available through September 30 of 2023 and will be fully expended. With ESSER 2, we saw a shift in spending to support high expectations for student learning, which resulted in 62% of our spend. Support included purchases of iReady, Imagine Learning for our ELL students, student devices, teacher devices, VPK, iPads, and refresh of the curriculum, volunteer common planning days, Tier 1 intervention teachers, intervention materials in reading and math, summer extended learning, tutoring, ESE interventions, staffing specialists and school clerks for our ESE supports, and the Elevation platform for our EL students. If we look at efficient operations, we noted it included staff at the district and the school level, summer extended contract days, and hotspots. Under dedicated and high-quality team, we had summer professional development for instructional and paraprofessionals, additional staff positions for the Orange County Virtual School to accommodate the influx of students that we saw due to COVID-19, additional assistant principals in our 20 high-need elementary schools, retention supplements for all employees. Under positive climate and safe environment, personnel to support after hours at our COVID testing sites, summer school resource officers, nurses. If you'll recall, at the time we had 2 in every clinic, we now have 1. Reimbursement to the Employee Benefit Trust for COVID claims. Engaged and invested community was utilized to support truancy to locate missing students who did not come back, as well as dropout prevention to support high school home visits. Student support of mental and emotional support was for SEL training and curriculum. Please note, though, additional support for student mental and emotional health was also provided with many other federal funding sources. Funding for ESSER II, as I said, ends September of 2023. The remaining balance of $9,461,087 is 4% of our allocation. The funds are allocated in support of IT initiatives, LPN nurses in all schools, and additional ESSER staff. Year-to-date, we've expended funds as noted above. Please note that these numbers are fluid and will look very different by the time this is finished in September of 2024, after all expenditures have occurred. Efficient operations currently leads the charge with 49% of our year-to-date expenditures, which includes staff at the district and the school level, summer extended contract days, classroom audio enhancement in all schools, reimbursement to the Employee Benefit Trust, GPS units on our buses. I know we've seen that recently in the news. Student devices. Under high expectations for student learning, we have software site licenses for students, common planning days, extended contract days, Tier 1 intervention teachers in all schools, intervention materials in reading and math, summer extended learning, tutoring, staffing specialists and school clerks for ESE supports, and elevation for EL students. Dedicated and high-quality team, summer professional development for instructional and paraprofessional staff, and the retention supplement again for all employees. Positive climate and safe environment, custodial labor and supplies, PPE signage, HVAC, and water bottles. Supportive student mental and emotional health supports include K-8 guidance counselors, social workers, mental health counselors, behavior specialists, and program assistants. With 25% of the allocation utilized year-to-date, we are on target to expend at least 50% of our allocation by May of 2023. All funds will be fully expended by September of 2024. Funds are being utilized for the remainder of this year and moving into next year to continue to support our Tier 1 intervention teachers, intervention materials in reading, math, and science, student device replacements, staffing specialists and clerks, LPNs, retention supplements for all staff, professional development opportunities, minivans for our hard-to-route students, and additional guidance counselors, mental health, and social workers. In addition to these ESSER funds, the district also receives state-awarded ESSER funds, which are distributed to the district from the state's ESSER funding. The ESSER program was implemented to address the impact that COVID-19 has had and continues to have on our elementary and secondary schools. In order to promote transparency and promote accountability with ESSER funds, the ESSER dashboard has been available for public view and is still available via 3 different ways. You can access this dashboard via the ESSER page at esser.ocps.net, via the OCPS main page under COVID-19 information in the dashboard, or via the internet in the OCPS department pages. Updates to this dashboard are done bi-weekly. The dashboard captures year-to-date expenditures across all 3 ESSER grants. So as we move forward, we began to ask, how are we progress monitoring our activities? As required of all federal funds, we progress monitoring by working with our stakeholders through bi-weekly updates to the dashboard, monthly spend reports to senior leadership, meeting with fund managers who are overseeing the initiatives at both the district and the school level. We constantly are seeking input from our community stakeholders, provide support to school staff, and we attend state and federal technical assistance meetings to put forth best practices. In ongoing collaboration with research accountability and grants, we are analyzing projects for an external evaluation. This will allow the district to look at the return on investment for these projects and will lead our discussions for sustainability when the funds are fully expended. At this point, we welcome any questions from the board or from Superintendent Vasquez.
Thank you. Member Gould.
Thank you. Great presentation. I'm very confident that you are tracking and doing everything needed with the money. I just have a comment because I have a comment. So school nurses. This is an ongoing issue for years in the state of Florida, and I know it's not within the scope of this grant, but we must raise the level of care within our schools to RNs. And that would be one thing, especially now that the state has a surplus from last year and is looking at a budget surplus going forward, that we should try to bring back to the legislature. There are just too many issues, and the ongoing mental and physical health support that a nurse at that level, because of their ability to triage and treat, is unparalleled. So I just wanted that on the record.
Thank you, Member Gould. Member Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To piggyback off what Member Gould said, I wasn't going to actually talk about this, but she brought up a good point about the nurses and their contribution to the mental health of our students. But we don't have nurses under the support of student mental health and emotional health. They're not included in that number. Is that correct? They're in another one of our buckets. Yeah. Thank you.
They are under,
I couldn't remember if you said positive climate and safe environment. They were under another bucket.
I think they're under dedicated and high-quality staff.
Okay. I'm only mentioning that because when you look at the support of student mental and emotional health until you get to the ESSER funds, and I understand that we got funds drawn down federally from different sources, but it looks like we're not putting a lot of money into emotional health, and we're hearing consistently from everybody out in the community how important it is right now in our schools that we do concentrate and prioritize the mental health of our students and our staff, because it's needed. And so I just wanted to clarify, because I thought Member Gould made a very important point about the role that they play, but yet they're not included in the mental health.
Or Member Gallo, they actually are under positive climate and safe environment.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
Okay, thank you. And then I just have a couple of comments. I don't know if they're really questions. We see a lot of things that we expect to see in ESSER 1. If people are looking at that, like during the beginning of the pandemic, we had to spend more money on efficient operations because we did need those HEPA filters. We did need to buy devices. We needed to do a lot of things. And then the high expectations for student learning, we really didn't know what we were dealing with. We needed time to kind of regroup, get kids back in schools. And you saw us progress tick upward with the high expectations. It was 62% in the ESSER 2 funds. The efficient operations dropped down. We expected to see that because our needs were less than positive and safe environment. Makes a lot of sense. But when you get to ESSER, and then the mental health was still kind of low. So I'm glad to see that when we go to the ESSER $2, that we're really going to focus on the social and emotional well-being of our kids and that mental health, because I'm telling you, we've got kids in crisis. But I did want to touch on the efficient operations, because it did jump back up to 49% for the ESSER $3. And we would expect, or the public might expect, well, why shouldn't more dollars be put towards high expectations for student learning? The ESSER dollars were given to us so that we can make sure that we accelerate learning, we shore up the gaps that we see due to the pandemic. So could you just elaborate a little bit about what went into the efficient operations? And then I do see that only a certain percentage of our dollars have been spent, and if you look at the allocated balance, we will be jumping up the student learning piece and even the mental health piece, which I'm personally happy to see.
Absolutely. So you are correct. This is year to date. So right now, efficient operations is leading the charge. But when we project out through September of 24, it is not going to be at the top. It will be high expectations in learning for students. But the reason it's at the top right now, the GPS units for buses, that was a quite large expense, as well as our student devices. That was over $40 million for student devices for the upcoming year, as well as the classroom audio enhancement is new this year. So those three things alone helped raise that efficient operations piece up.
And so I'm positive we discussed this from the dais, but every secondary student got a new device this year. I think the devices took a big beating during the pandemic because we allowed our students to keep them for almost 2 years, which is why we needed to go and procure the devices again. So I just wanted to throw that out there in case there were some questions. Thank you so much for this presentation. This is great information.
Thank you, Member Gallo. Member Felder.
Thank you, Chair. I so enjoyed our little meeting, the WebEx, and most of the questions and concerns I had, I talked to you all about it, but I just sort of want to reiterate that I appreciate your work, and I guess I'm of the volition of Member Gallo about mental, the concerns of mental and emotional health for our students, especially those, all of our students, but I have a special concern for those that are in District 5. So it is my hope that we will continue to work closer together and that we will come up with solutions that are workable to do our best to make sure that our students have the resources that they need. I'm thankful you've done a great job in managing the money because, money is the answer to all things. Just look in Ecclesiastes 12. The love of money is the root of evil, but money answereth all things. So you need money sometimes to get things done. So I appreciate what you all are doing, and you have my support. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Felder. I'm going to have to circle back with you on where that was in the Bible. I missed that one.
12,
okay. I know it was the root of all evil, but I missed the good part. Okay, so on the subject of mental health, the Mental Health Commission is going to give a report to the board in the first quarter of next year. I don't know if we have a date. I think but we'll be putting that on the calendar. But one question I do have, Ms. Bridges is in the front row, and she might be able to help us. I think she'll know it off the top of her head. We have a lot of positions that are open for mental health counselors that are not filled. Ms. Bridges, you want to take the podium for just a minute? Obviously, I share everyone's concern, and it's more important than it's ever been, but go ahead.
Yes, we actually, in ESSER 3, we had funded so that we could put one social worker in every school and one mental health counselor in every school. But that's not showing up as what's been spent so far because we have not been able to hire all those positions. With the social workers, we have done better. With social workers, we were able to hire so that we had a social worker in every middle and high school. We're still shooting for having a social worker for every 2 elementary schools, but again, we've been advertising all year long. We still have quite a few that have 3 schools, but we're continuing to hire those. With the mental health counselors, we advertised all summer, and we're only able to get 8. We currently have in the district total 43, but we've been advertising on Indeed. We just got 4 off of Indeed that we just got through to start interviewing, and so we'll continue. But the entire Orange County area is having a problem. So the agencies and our Senate agencies and everyone's having a problem finding those licensed mental health counselors. So we're just going to continue to hire as quickly as we can and as many as we can.
Thank you, Ms. Bridges. Okay. Dr. Vasquez.
Comment that we currently have, I think, $11 million that we're spending on mental health this year through another grant. So when we look at the total picture and we're trying to balance the needs and where the dollars are coming from, we definitely know that mental health is very important, but we do have dollars in other grants that are helping us provide resources and supports in that area, not just ESSER.
Good comment and observation. Okay. Wonderful presentation. I think we're done, but very good presentation. We have, no public hearings. Superintendent, do we have any changes to the agenda?
Yes, we do, Madam Chair. Item 15.03, the utility easement agreement between the school board and hostime.com needs to be pulled.
Pulled for later this afternoon? or
A future-
pulled for
a future agenda.
Future meeting? Okay, thank you. And before taking up the consent agenda, we do have one public speaker. Ms. Farrell is in the audience, and this pertains to, I believe, item 801. So now would be your time. I don't think, no? Oh, yeah, would you mind coming over there? I don't think I have to run through the whole, right? You got it memorized, right? Thank you. That cuts off 5 minutes. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me here. I was actually here expecting possibly more comments. So I'm here today just to express my support of the approval of our reproductive health curriculum and just to reinforce the duty to uphold my right as a parent to direct the education of my children. Concerned parents that believe this curriculum is a little too much for their student can simply opt theirs out. It's the least restrictive means possible to ensure as many parents in Orange County have equal access to their parental rights. I'm also here to remind you that language this board will be discussing and approve in policy going forward could very well impact the future of both this program and all of the offerings available to our students. Most parents in this community feel it is imperative for our students when they leave OCPS that they are prepared for the full reality of the world before them. That means educators leading robust discussions about sometimes hard and highly debatable topics. It means books containing straightforward, factual, and relevant information. They should be accessible to our students, whether in the classroom and especially on library shelves for individual supplemental learning. And no student should be limited in their education here because of a single concern of one parent, community member, or group. The freedom to explore concepts and challenge beliefs, it is pivotal. It is a pivotal part of our democracy, and you all have been elected to defend that right for every student here in Orange County. So please approve this curriculum today, and thank you, Member Colbert, thank you, Member Lopez, for all that you have done, and I look forward to the new board. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have a motion to approve the agenda as modified by the superintendent?
So moved.
Motion by Member Gallo, is there a second? Member Colbert, oh gosh, what a bad day to do that. Seconded by Member Gallo. I could see her face down there about to jump on. I am so sorry. That is, God, can I just crawl under the desk, disappear? All in favor of amending the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and now for the approval of the amended agenda, is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Member Colbert, seconded by Vice Chair. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries, again, unanimously. Said we have no public hearings. Let me ask Superintendent, do you have a report? Would be very quiet.
Will be very brief. I did want to share that we have started our community meetings, both for our employees and for our parents and community members. They are posted on our website. We are getting tremendous feedback from them as I journey on my first 100 days. So they've been well attended, and I look forward to seeing many of our community members at those meetings as well as our employees. Thank you.
Thank you. General Counsel, do you have a report?
I do, just two short messages. Last week we attended our Florida School Board Attorneys Association, and Mr. Palmerini will be our vice president next year, and I will be our treasurer next year. And another important thing that you'll hear about in the future, but I want to go ahead and tout Mr. Palmerini's praises here. He was voted by our colleagues for the C. Graham Crothers Award of Excellence, which means that he is, and some of his colleagues told him he was faster than Westlaw. And for those of you that know that we use Westlaw, so Mr. Palmerini always helps our fellow school board attorneys across the state very quickly because he has that innate ability to capture statutory language and case law quickly. So you'll be hearing about that in the future.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Do we have any committee reports?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Please.
So we did have a legislative committee today, and the platforms for the federal platforms and the state platforms did get approved through the committee and will be brought forward to the board at our next board meeting in December. Member Gould was not allowed, or was not allowed, she was allowed, was not able to be at the meeting due to some confusion, and she would like to bring up some topics now regarding those approved platforms. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gallo. So I had a great conversation with our administrative professionals group yesterday, and we were talking about, the challenges, especially in our more complicated schools, and knowing there is some money in Tallahassee, I'm wondering if there could be a legislative remedy for incentivizing administrators and teachers to work in those schools and have a pot of money that comes from them that would allow us to augment salaries for people that take those posts. And I would say even support staff that serve those schools as well. There's a lot more wraparound services and time that needs to be spent in our Title I and some of our schools that really struggle with poverty and inequity. And I would really like to be able to explore if that may be possible and maybe work with all of our associations and unions to bring some kind of a platform like that forward if the board thought that was a good idea.
Member Felder, you want to comment on that?
Yes, I would. And thank you so much, Member Gallo, for opening it up so that Member Gould could share that information. I, too, am extremely concerned about what is going on in our schools, what's community, what is pouring into our schools. It's not our schools, it's the community. And from my understanding, Member Gould, there has been quite a bit of dollars already been expended to cities for these kinds of programs that are to try to, as you say, augment some of these concerns. I think the concern, perhaps, Superintendent, is that choosing the right people to run the programs. And that may be something that is going to take more than this kind of discussion on this board like this, because I'm so serious about doing more than just ad hoc, just talking about it, because this board is made up of intelligent people in this district. What I've learned since the 3 years I've been a part of this board, we have some wonderful, wonderful programs going on in this district, and people who are in positions that know exactly what they're doing. But we need to, because some of the situations have become dire, that's the best word I can think of, dire. It's going to be incumbent upon us as a school board to protect our schools in protecting our districts, because we got to get on top of what is happening. And if there's monies available in the legislations, pieces of legislation that goes out, we need to make sure, Member Gallo, that it addresses what we need, because I believe that the situation can be fixed. It can be fixed, but you can't put a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. You got to clean the wound out. and then you got to put the proper bandages on it, and then you got to do it and give medication to make sure that it's completely sealed and it won't return. So those are my concerns, and I think I have a meeting, Superintendent and I have our little session tomorrow, so I can specifically share with her my specific concerns and some ideas that I have in regards to what Member Gould was saying, because I think Member Gould's district, Member Byrd's district, and mine, we got some issues that need to be fixed, and we are the ones to do it. We have the ammunition to do it. We just need to know how to navigate it, Superintendent, in such a way, and Attorney Enval and John, so we won't get in any trouble. But we need to really get on it and work with what we have, because we have the materials. We just got to be in charge of the navigation. You understand what I'm saying? We got to be in charge of that navigation so the change will occur. I thank you for bringing that up, Member Gould. Thank you, Gallo.
Member Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Member Gould. If I think that's something that I think would be worthwhile to work on. My question, I guess, would be, Jason's not here, is he? I guess I see Scott in the back. Mr. Howard, if we have like a current platform that would fall under, or if we would need to add to our platform prior to the next board meeting. What? We can look. Okay. We can look at it. Because it might fall under one of our current platforms, and we could then have a conversation about how to do it. Elongate it, yes.
Yeah. Just in follow-up, so I don't think I clearly articulated, we have people abandoning the pathway of education. And we need to look at every opportunity, especially in our underserved neighborhoods where, you know, there's just many more wraparound services we need to provide. So I wanted to make that clear in case anybody was listening to this. I know we understood that, but I wanted to make sure the community understood that. And there was one other follow-up, and that has nothing to do with the legislative policy, but maybe we can discuss it at another time, or the superintendent can take a look at it. There are some requirements to becoming a principal. And even if somebody has done every job under the sun and they have the resume to back up the credentialing they have to go through the 2 years. Some of that is state and some of that is our expectation. Are there some waivers that could be created, and again, back to the state, and we may not need to put it on the legislative platform, maybe this is a DOE conversation. Are there some waivers for people who have that depth of experience, have that master's, that maybe they could test out of the 2 years as long as they've had 5 years of experience across the board? I don't know. But it seems like we have a pipeline shortage and not enough time, even with people who might be very qualified and very good principals, to move into that principalship. And I know we've been trying to do that with teachers as well, clear that pathway to certification so that we can get good people in the classroom who really have a heart for education. And so that is just another piece of this. Again, not sure it lands on the legislative platform, maybe more policy.
Madam Chair, may I?
Absolutely.
So, yes, some of that we can tweak. What we have found prior to COVID is that starting the Prepare New Principals program during their first year as an assistant principal is not the best, because they're learning the job and really are not able to internalize and understand all the content that goes through it. So some of that we are able to adjust. Some of that is required by the state. Some possible good news is that we are working with UCF that possibly through their master's program, they would be able to graduate and then have what it takes to move into that principal pool. And I know that Dr. Bradshaw is engaged in that work with them, and Harold Border has also had conversations with them. So that is one possibility of how we may be able to shorten the time for those that are getting their ed leadership degrees at the University of Central Florida.
All right, if there's no further business to come before the board, then we are adjourning. Actually, I think under Robert's rules that we need a motion and a second to adjourn. I know. I was just looking that up. You don't think so?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. Second. Thank goodness. All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
That's the only thing. I was looking at it, and I'm like, what's going to happen if it fails? Yeah. I guess we'll keep going. And the vice chair will take over. All right, we'll see everybody back here. There's a reception at 3, and then we'll be back here, tell me if I'm right, 4:45. And that's for our reorganization meeting and swearing in, okay? Okay. Wait, no, just stay on top of this.